Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for the second stimulus package for Wednesday, August 12th. I hope everyone is off to a good and safe Wednesday so far. In this video, I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus check. I'll also be discussing unemployment, when we can expect to receive the next stimulus check if we're going to receive the second stimulus check. And then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so just 1 week after schools reopened in a Georgia school district, more than 800 of its students and staff have been told to quarantine. It all started last week when one second grader tested positive for the virus after just the first day of school. Since then, a total of 826 at the school were ordered to quarantine due to possible exposure. Now, in this school district, they apparently recommend but don't require students and staff to wear masks. This is the same school many of you guys may have seen after photos went viral showing many of the students without masks on. Now, the superintendent of the school reportedly wrote a letter dismissing those claims, saying that many of the students and staff actually wear masks and it's sort of a regular thing to wear a mask, but in this particular photo, it just showed students not wearing masks. So it was kind of a one-off case according to the superintendent. So, with all that said, how do you guys personally feel about kids going back to school at this point in time? Do you feel that it's simply too big of a health risk for kids to be going back to school with the virus and everything going on? Or do you feel that at this point it's a necessity for reasons of your own for kids to be going back to school? Let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comment section below. Alright, so I just wanted to start out this video by talking real quickly about the current unemployment situation. As we all know, President Trump just signed an executive order to extend the unemployment benefits for at least 5 more weeks at $400 per week. That would be $300 pitched in at the federal level and $100 pitched in at the state level. However, many politicians are left to wonder how long it will take for these payments to begin going out. Many politicians believe that it could take weeks or even months for states to begin implementing this new system. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer tweeted, "President Trump's executive order on unemployment benefits is put together in such a sloppy way that it will take weeks or months for states to even implement. Millions could lose everything before they ever see a check. Republicans must get back to the negotiating table." So, not that it's much of a surprise, but Schumer obviously didn't like President Trump's executive order. Governor Cuomo and Governor Hutchinson also put out a statement saying, "We appreciate the White House proposals to provide additional solutions to address the challenges. However, we are concerned by the significant administrative burdens and cost this latest action would place on these states." However, White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow disputed those claims, saying that it should only take a couple of weeks for the first payments to go out. There have also been some talks about potential lawsuits with the extension of these unemployment benefits and the payroll tax cuts. However, it's pretty unlikely at this point in time that you'll be seeing Democrats leading that charge, just because it wouldn't be that popular of a move. Just imagine Democrats blocking the move for unemployed workers to be receiving the unemployment insurance benefits. It wouldn't be so popular among those unemployed workers seeing Democrats trying to block their payments. Larry Kudlow also said that states will receive help if there's any complications, but he thinks they'll be just fine and it should only take a couple of weeks for the first payments to go out, and those payments will be administered by these states. Okay, so right here is just a map that shows which states will be able to implement the unemployment executive order and which ones won't be able to. As you can see, California, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts have already said they will not be able to implement the executive order. Pennsylvania's governor has even said this is not something that any state will be able to do quickly. Ohio, on the other hand, said they will be able to implement the executive order, and West Virginia at least intends on implementing the executive order, but as far as the rest of the states go, it's unknown at this point in time. Let's hope for the best here. Americans simply can't afford to sit around and wait for several weeks or even several months for these unemployment benefits to begin kicking back in once again. The good news is that the Labor Department recently announced that individuals will not need to reapply for benefits to begin receiving their unemployment benefits once again. This will be just one less step that each person will have to take and one less hoop that you'll have to jump through. Kudlow also said that President Trump's payroll tax cut will be a wage hike of $1,100 to the 140 million people who are able to work and working right now. Well, unfortunately, that $1,100 will have to be paid back next year at some point in time, as it is just a payroll tax deferral and not money that's actually going to be going in your pocket and staying in your pocket. So that's kind of the downside there. Now, with all that said, let me know in the comment section below if you are excited about this payroll tax cut and having more money in your paycheck, even though you'll have to pay it back at a later date. In other stimulus news, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said the Democrats are treating the virus pandemic as a political game, leaving struggling Americans waiting for critical aid. Now, McConnell did say that he still has hope that the two sides can reach a deal in the next stimulus package by the end of this week. He said that the two sides are still in discussion, which is the good thing. However, unfortunately, they are still a good ways apart. So the good news here is that both sides want an outcome. Both sides do want a next stimulus package. Both sides have a lot of agreements. They both want stimulus payments. They both want the Paycheck Protection Program. They want more funds for schools, for testing, other things like that. I would say 70 to 80% of the things they agree with, so they could easily pass a next stimulus package. However, the bad news is that they are still a long ways apart. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want a skinny deal. She wants a big package. And remember, the Democrats are wanting around $1 trillion in state and local government aid, and that's probably the issue where the two sides differ the most. Mitch McConnell also said the American people need an outcome, but that it needs to be done on a bipartisan basis. He also said the focus on the next relief package should be on kids in school, jobs, healthcare, and liability protections so businesses do not get sued whenever they go to reopen. McConnell also went on to say that the two sides should show just a bit more of urgency in extending the Paycheck Protection Program, which expired on August 8th, and also extending unemployment since the current unemployment program may only last around 5 weeks per President Trump's executive order. Basically, at this point, we're waiting on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the White House to reach an agreement on the next relief package. And once they do so, Mitch McConnell says that most of the Republicans will be on board with whatever they come up with, and that some Republicans will be against it simply because the national debt is now the size of the economy for the first time since World War II. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, at the moment, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and Mark Meadows are sort of working as the middleman for the White House in negotiations with the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. So once they come up with a deal, then at that point the Senate will be able to vote on whatever they come up with, and then hopefully we can get that passed through. We simply have to hope that they continue to negotiate, compromise where they need to compromise. That way, at least we can get this bill in the Senate to be voted on and then possibly passing at that point in time. Personally, I still have a lot of optimism in the next relief package passing. Even though it's easy to see the negative side in all this and think that the talks are dead and that we're not going to see the next relief package, we're not going to see another round of stimulus payments, the two sides are never going to come back to the negotiating table ever again. It's very, very easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom of what the media is telling us. However, I think there's going to be a lot of positivity coming up in the next couple of weeks. I believe the two sides are going to come back together and they are going to reach a compromise. It's pretty obvious that there is going to be more relief needed. For example, I don't think unemployment is going to last past 5 weeks, so it's obvious that needs to be extended. Trump's executive order isn't going to last forever, so the two sides are going to have to compromise and figure out a more long-term solution in the meantime. And then there's some also glaring issues such as stimulus payments. We had millions of Americans counting on the second round of stimulus payments, and people in difficult situations could really use another round of $1,200 stimulus payments right now. And that's one of the more frequently asked questions that I've been receiving in the comment section. When are we going to be receiving the next round of stimulus payments? And unfortunately, we're going to have to pass the next stimulus package in order to receive stimulus payments. Unfortunately, even though the Republicans and the Democrats both want a second round of stimulus payments, everyone is on board with that, and if they try to pass one bill with one piece of legislation, that being stimulus checks, they could easily do so. But unfortunately, they're trying to combine all these pieces of legislation in one bill, and that just makes things super, super complicated. So unfortunately, it's being held up because both sides have kind of their own political agendas. Both sides want what they want in the bill, and then we have opposition from the other side. So unfortunately, until we pass the bill, we're not going to see a second round of stimulus payments. However, once we do pass the bill, which I do have a lot of confidence that we will pass the next stimulus package at some point in time, hopefully within the next month or so, hopefully they won't put it off too much longer, then the payments should begin to be sent out, I would say 1 or 2 weeks after the relief package passes. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick update on the first round of stimulus payments because unfortunately there are still millions of Americans who haven't even received their first stimulus check, even though a second round of stimulus payments may be going out in the next month or so if Congress can finally get their act together. So the IRS sent out another wave of direct deposits this morning. So if you haven't yet received your first stimulus payment, I would encourage you to check your bank account. Even if you were checking the payment portal over the last week and it still says payment status not available, even though it is rare, sometimes the payment portal never ends up updating and they go ahead and send out your direct deposit anyway. So I would encourage you to check your bank account regardless, and let me know in the comment section below if you received your first stimulus payment, and let me know if you're still waiting on your first stimulus payment. And in the meantime, if you didn't receive your stimulus payment this morning, then in the meantime, just continue checking the payment portal. I know it's frustrating, but you will eventually receive a payment date and you will eventually receive your payment. Now, for you expats living abroad outside the United States, you should have received your stimulus payment today if you haven't already. And if you don't get it today, the final deadline, I guess, is August 14th. They gave two different deadlines on their website, August 12th and August 14th. Now, usually the direct deposits they send out are on Wednesday, so it should be there today. If you do not have a US-based bank account, unfortunately, it is going to take a little bit longer because they have to send your check in the mail instead, so it's going to take a little bit longer, unfortunately. Also, you can most definitely still call the IRS if you have any questions as far as your first stimulus check goes. The best number to reach them at would be 1-800-919-9835, and I would recommend to call earlier in the day, closer to morning time, just to avoid those long hold times. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm just gonna go ahead and answer some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to respond to as many comments and questions as I possibly can. And those comments and questions that I'm not able to respond to, I do try to pick some of the more popular ones to respond to in my next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first question of today's video. And that question comes from Carlos. Carlos says, will child support people that owe back pay get a check? All right, thank you so much for that question, Carlos. And unfortunately, at this point in time, since the next relief package hasn't yet passed, we're not able to say for sure whether or not stimulus payments will be garnished if you have any type of past due child support. In the Democrats' plan, if you had past due child support, then you would still receive your stimulus payment. And in the Republicans' plan, if you had past due child support, then those could be garnished from your stimulus payment. All right, so the next question of today's video is from Alan. Alan says, does the second stimulus include Social Security recipients? All right, thank you so much for that question, Alan. And yes, if you are on Social Security, you will most definitely be eligible for the second stimulus payment as well. Stephen Mnuchin said that everyone who received the first stimulus payment will also be receiving the second stimulus payment as well. And that should also include those dependents over the age of 17, which will be included this round as well. Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, the second free stock valued all the way up to $1,400, please feel free to claim those 2 free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.